Good evening and welcome to the November 13th, 2023 meeting of the Menlo Park Planning Commission. Established by state law, the commission is composed of 7 volunteer voting age residents appointed to 4-year terms by the City Council. The Planning Commission is not a policy-setting body, that's the City Council. The Planning Commission is a policy implementing body. We review development proposals on public and private lands for compliance with our city's general plan and zoning ordinance, which can be found on the city's website. The commission reviews all development proposals requiring a use permit, architectural control, variance, minor subdivision, and environmental review associated with these projects. The commission is a final decision-making for these applications unless appealed to the City Council. The commission also serves as a recommending body to the City Council for major subdivisions, rezoning, conditional development permits, zoning ordinance amendments, general plan amendments, and the environmental reviews and below market rate housing agreements associated with those projects. We work closely with staff in our city's planning division. They are responsible for coordinating enforcement of the zoning ordinance and related policies. And thank you for joining this evening. We encourage your active participation, whether you are an applicant or member of the public. There will be an opportunity to speak publicly during general public comment, as well as for each agenda item. With that, this meeting is called to order, and we'll go to B, roll call. Commissioner Barnes?
Good evening, present.
Looks like Commissioner Eric is not present. Commissioner Farrick?
Here.
Commissioner Riggs?
Present.
Commissioner Schindler?
Present.
I am Vice Chair Doe, and I'm stepping in for Chair Harris, who is absent, so that makes 5 of us present and 2 absent. For item C, reports and announcements, I'll turn to Mr. Parada.
Thank you. Good evening, Vice Chair Doe and members of the Planning Commission. So just one quick update. So tomorrow night, the City Council does meet, and I wanted to identify one item that may be of interest for the Planning Commission. One of the items the Council will be considering is the selection of names and the naming policy for the Menlo Park Community Campus. So that's at 110 Terminal, the reconstruction of the former or current Annetta Harris Community Center and Senior Center and pool at the Bellhaven Pool. So the council will be having a discussion tomorrow evening regarding the naming. And so just wanted to give the Planning Commission that update. And I'll note for the record that Commissioner Eric is now in attendance at 7:04 p.m.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Parada? None? Okay, so let's move to D, public comment. Under public comment, the public may address the commission on any subject not listed in the agenda. Each speaker may address the commission once for a limit of 3 minutes. You are not required to provide your name or city of residence, but it's helpful. The commission cannot act on items not listed on the agenda and therefore cannot respond to non-agenda issues other than to provide general information. I'll turn to our clerk, Mr. Turner, to explain how members of the public can participate.
Thank you, Vice Chair Doe. So during the public comment period, members of the public will have the opportunity to share their comments or questions remotely by clicking the hand icon at the bottom of your screen, upon which staff will introduce you and activate your microphone. For those calling into tonight's meeting, please click *9 on your phone, and that will notify staff that you would like to give public comment. If multiple people are speaking on the same account, please let us know at the beginning of your time, and we will make sure everybody has a chance to speak. If you are giving public comment in person today, please fill out a speaker card at the back of the room and hand it to me. And with that, I will turn it back to you.
Sounds great. Thank you. Will you go ahead and open public comment and let us know how many speakers there are?
Yes, so at the moment, I have no hands raised online and no comment cards for general public comment.
Okay, I think people had plenty of time to consider if they wanted to make a comment while you were providing instructions. So we'll go ahead and close D, public comment, and move to E, the consent calendar. There are no items on the consent calendar. So we'll move to F, the public hearing portion. The first item is F1, a use permit. Larica Liscano, and apologies if I'm mispronouncing that, 854 Cambridge Avenue. Consider and adopt a resolution to approve a use permit to demolish an existing single-story, single-family residence and construct a new two-story, single-family residence with a basement on a substandard lot with regard to minimum lot depth in the R2 low-density apartment zoning district. Determine this action is categorically exempt under CEQA guidelines, section 15303, class 3 exemption for new construction or conversion of small structures. The proposal includes an attached accessory dwelling unit, or ADU, which is a permitted use and not subject to discretionary review. So, are there any, Ms. Khan, staff updates or a presentation from the applicant?
Good evening, Vice Chair Doe, Commissioners, and members of the public. Staff has an update to the staff report. In the staff report, staff incorrectly mentioned that the required side setback for the balcony is 20 feet and the rear setback is 30 feet, when in fact, per Municipal Code Section 16.60.020, multifamily zone properties can have balconies to the required setback of the residence, which in this case is 6 feet from the side and 20 feet from the rear. Therefore, the proposed balcony is over by 15 feet 8 inches on the right side and 14 feet 2.5 inches from the left side and over 34 feet to the rear. Additionally, staff has received a comment letter after publication from the neighbors at 850 Cambridge, which have been sent to the commissioners, and printed copies are available at the back table in the council chambers for those in attendance. In the comment letter, the neighbors have voiced their concerns with regards to 4 items. 1, balcony setbacks. 2, second floor bathroom window opacity. 3, number of AC units that are closer to the neighbor's property line. 4, lack of landscape screening between proposed ADU and outdoor kitchen. With that, I conclude update to the staff report. However, in attendance, we do have the architect and the property owner. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. And did the applicant want to make a presentation or?
My name is Anuj Suri. I am a local developer in the area and obviously develop homes and done a few successful projects already. The goal is to...
Excuse me, could you move the microphone a little closer? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The goal is to work in the guideline limits of the city and obviously provide the best outcome for the neighborhood and the neighbors. So we are here to obviously work with anyone who has concerns and mitigate whatever we can as far as possible.
Hi, I'm Larry Caliscano. I'm the project designer. All the design was thought in a way to follow the regulations and also to preserve the community and preserve the style of the surrounding residences. And we are willing to work with you all to have a successful project.
In order to address the 4 concerned items, can walk through those. So as Ms. Khan already mentioned, that we are way within the setback limits of the balcony that is in question. So I think we can only propose there that if if okay with the council and the city planning commission, planning department, and also the neighbors, obviously, we can propose a higher fence, like about 7 feet, and also propose a couple of screening landscaping plants that can potentially provide a little bit more privacy in that area. That probably goes same as for the item number 4, which is the concern for the ADU, where we can also do the same, provide a couple of plants, though it's a single-story ADU, so I think the 7 feet fence would suffice, really, because the windows are not that high anyways. But yeah, those 2 items we can possibly mitigate with just landscaping or higher fence. All right. Second item is the opacity of the windows for the master bathroom. So for that, we already talked between us and have a proposal to again mitigate that as well. We are thinking of moving that window over to the backside of the property and moving the tub area, which is where the window is as well, so that instead of making it opaque, we will just move the window to the backside, where we have a much larger setback from the rear fence, and move the double sink area to the existing tub area where the window is. So I think that way the question doesn't arise. The window is not going to be there anymore, and should mitigate that issue as well. For item 3, which is AC unit, the location of that. So for those, we actually created a special notch in the building just to accommodate those 3 compressors, AC compressors there. And they're not in the setback area of 6 feet. They're actually placed inside that notch, and which would be about 12 to 14 feet away. So in order to conceal them further, we can propose a wooden fence, possibly, to limit the noise decibel level from those. And obviously, we'll be in the city limits guidance for the decibel limits allowed for the compressor. So along with this fence, I believe we should be able to solve this issue as well. Yeah, we can look into a sound blanket as well, which she mentioned. Yep, so that's all we have. Anything else, any other concerns that we can talk about? Happy to, have that conversation.
Great, thank you. Any clarifying questions before public comment on this item? None. Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead to public comment, and if we have questions during the discussion. So if there's no clarifying questions, I'll turn it over to our clerk to open public comment on this item.
So thank you, Vice Chair Doe. Once again, if you would like to give public comment, please click the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen, or fill out a public comment card if you are here in person. At the moment, I do have 2 hands up, so we will start with Thomas Eggmeyer. Thomas, you should be able to unmute yourself now, and you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you. We are the individuals, I don't know if you can see us, on 850 Cambridge Avenue. It's my wife, Katie, and I. We bought our home in 2016 and have really loved the Allied Arts neighborhood. We were a little surprised with the notice, so we apologize to the commission and to the developer that we did not raise these until last week, but we just found out about the development, and it took us some time to get a lawyer, as it seems like most people in Menlo Park were conflicted out. So I apologize to the commission and to the developer. We want to be reasonable here, just to be really, really clear, not looking to cancel development. We love that It's going to be an ADU to give more housing in the area. And, we're supportive. And it sounds like we're just trying to get some accommodations here that the developer seems to have, started to address those 4 points. I'll be honest, we're not experts here, so it's hard for us to ascertain things like sound blankets and notches, and it's not the intent of the developer. It seems like trying to be reasonable as well. It's just we don't have the expertise here. We do have our attorney on, Lee Prince, who's probably going to be able to respond for us more effectively on the 4 points. But again, just want to emphasize, we want to be reasonable, want to be good neighbors here, and have the development consistent with the community.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Lee Prince. Should be able to unmute yourself now.
Good evening, Chair and members of the Planning Commission. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. My name is Lee Prince. I am a land use lawyer with Fox Rothschild, appearing on behalf of Tom and Katie, who you just heard speak. I submitted a letter to you in advance of this evening outlining a few modifications to the proposed project that the Eggmeyers would like you to consider in an effort to mitigate privacy and noise concerns. I do appreciate that the developers have begun to consider those in response, although I do want to kind of go through point by point and talk about the various items. The first is the second floor balcony. You heard the staff correct the minimum required setback in an R2 zone adjacent to other R2 zoned properties to a smaller setback, making it sound as though the applicant has gone above and beyond the minimum. However, this project is being designed as a single-family home. The Eggmeyers and other neighboring properties are also developed as single-family homes. Thus, it is more appropriate for the health, safety, and welfare of the neighbors to consider the standards applicable to single-family projects. As outlined in my letter, the second floor balcony on this project does not meet the minimum to protect the neighbor's privacy, and that's not enough. I appreciate that they mentioned a higher fence and some landscaping. I don't know that without seeing modifications to the plans, we can truly respond as to whether those changes would be enough. The second concern was the opacity of the window, especially over the bathtub on the second floor. We were looking for that window to be frosted or have some privacy treatment. It sounds like they're offering to move the window. Again, without seeing it, it's difficult to fully respond. The third was the privacy concern relative to the amount of landscape screening proposed on the project site, with the ADU close to the property line and outdoor deck and kitchen adding more activity to the backyard. More landscape screening would help improve the privacy. Again, we appreciate the developer's offer to add something. It would be wonderful to see what that is or have some input. And then the same finally with respect to the noise, finding a way to mitigate the burden of all three of those AC units being located on the property line shared with the Eggmeyers. So as you consider the use permit for the project, you do need to make findings that the use and how it's designed or laid out will not be detrimental to the comfort and general welfare of persons residing in the neighborhood from the Eggmeyers' perspective without changes to the balcony, the windows, the AC units, and the landscaping. The project negatively impacts the quiet enjoyment of the home, their home, and the commission can't make the required findings. So thank you for considering these requests, and we hope that you will condition the project on making these changes.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you. We do not have any additional hands raised at this time, and no comment cards.
Okay, great. Let's go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to the commission, and feel free to sit down if that would be more comfortable for you. Didn't mean to make you stand the whole time. So bring it back to the commission for discussion and ultimately motion and vote on this item. Would anyone like to start? Commissioner Eric.
Thank you, Chair Doe. First of all, apologies for being late. 4-year-olds don't always respect the start time of the Planning Commission. I just want to start through the chair first to staff with a couple of questions, and I apologize if these were covered in the staff report and I missed them. The first is with regards to the air conditioning units. I think we know from a couple weeks back when we talked about another item that there are obviously regulations. I think it's 50 decibels during the day, or at 50 and 60 at day and night for sound at the property line. And I was wondering if staff could comment on whether or not there have been any studies or findings about whether the AC units are likely to meet that noise minimum or maximum, sorry.
Through the chair, thank you for your question, Commissioner Eric. With regards to the specific AC units that are being proposed for this particular project has not been reviewed through the planning review process. However, that is something that we will be reviewing during the building permit process. We do require applicants to provide spec sheets of the equipment that they're proposing. We look at the decibel units that is proposed for that specific unit, and then we discuss with the applicant as to how they would be mitigating the noise in order to meet the 60 decibel during the day and 50 decibel during the night at the nearest property line.
Okay, thank you very much. That was very helpful. So if I'm understanding correctly, the building would not be allowed to go forward if the air conditioning units or anything else on the property were to create noise levels above and beyond the maximum.
To clarify, the building permit would include the AC units. However, they could also come at a later time. They could apply for the building permit to build the house and then later come back for the AC units. However, way they wish to submit their application, we will review it to ensure that it meets or complies with the noise ordinance.
Okay, thank you very much. And then my second question with regards to setback dimensions. So I understand that this is an R2 property, and so therefore the setback limits are different. Even if it was a 20-foot setback, like the setback is conformant with the 20-foot setback. It's just not as conformant. Is that correct?
I think I understand your question. So for a multi-family zone property, they are allowed to have their balconies at the same setback line as the main residence, which in this case is the 6 feet. For single-family homes or single-family zone properties, we allow those residences to have setback of 20 feet for balcony from the side and 30 from the rear. So in this case, they are a little over the 20 feet requirement on both sides.
Through the chair, if I could just clarify, I think, just to clarify Ms. Khan's comment at the end, the balcony setback is by zoning district, not land use, just to clarify. And so I think the setbacks here could be as little as the setbacks of the building. And so in that case, the sides could be 6 feet and then the rear at 20, where they're exceeding that in both cases. The staff report, as mentioned in the opening remarks, we did hold on to some language from a previous report by accident regarding the single family setbacks, but here the setbacks are greater than that required by this zoning district. So I want to make sure we don't conflate the two about the 20 versus 6 feet, that there is an increased setback here for the sides. Correct. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. That concludes my questions for now.
Thank you, Commissioner Eric. Anyone else have questions or comments? Commissioner Riggs.
Thank you. The points that are raised by the neighbor actually reflect points that this commission has often brought up regarding projects adjacent to existing homes. And so, first of all, I just want to say I much appreciate the applicant's intent to respond to the concerns. It sounds like the relocating of the bathroom window solves one problem. raising the fence to 7 feet potentially solves at least one other problem, which would be privacy from the balcony, or at least addresses it. And in terms of the AC unit noise, I'm just reminded that in, I believe it was 2022, we were fairly prescriptive about what we would like to see for the mechanical units for the pool at Onetta Harris. Because while the city has a maximum noise allowed at 50 decibels, that's still a fairly generous maximum, and that is a fair amount of noise for those who would like to open their windows on a cool evening. So the AC units have often been an issue. In previous years, we simply asked that the AC units not be at the side property line. We have not been doing that with this commission, but the applicant has indicated a willingness to augment the fence to reduce noise, which I think is a good idea. And I also think there is a relatively reasonable use of sound bat, especially since there's a notch designed in the proposed residence. That notch, for example, could be lined with sound bat to reduce the amount of reflected noise. So I think between an acoustic improvement to that area of the fence and the application of some sound bat within the notch, if I'm counting correctly, I think we are addressing the concerns that the neighbor has brought up. So if the chair would like a motion, I would like to propose that we approve, or move that we approve the use permit with, and determine that the action is categorically exempt from CEQA, with the specific modifications that are offered by the applicant.
Thank you, Commissioner Riggs. First from Commissioner Riggs, can I just follow up on your motion, Commissioner Riggs, and ask staff a question? And I'm just going to reference a compelling argument that Commissioner Eric made the last time we saw a single-family home about we wouldn't be seeing this if this were a standard lot, and so not wanting to inequitably impose conditions that, let's say, if you had a standard lot, would not go through this process. But I have a question, because I do also appreciate the all that the applicant has proposed to do to mitigate those concerns. I do appreciate that. So I have a question. If, for example, this use permit were approved without conditions, could they still then go ahead and make those changes, or do they need to be conditions to the use permit in order for them to modify the bathroom window, increase the fence, and screen the AC units? Do they have to be conditions to the use permit?
Thank you for the question, Vice Chair Doe. So no, they do not. It does not require a use permit revision or subconformance memo. It wouldn't need a condition, is what I'm trying to get at.
If they decided to do those items that they had listed, is that right? And
Yeah,
maybe
so,
my question is not clearly worded.
Let me jump in, Vice Chair Doe. I think I understand your question. So I think The fencing is not part of the use permit. A 7-foot fence would comply with the city's fencing requirements. Those can be changed. Those are not typically conditions of a use permit or requirements of a use permit. So the applicant could modify their current fencing, provided that they comply with the height limits that the city has for fencing, 7 feet outside of the required front setback. Within the front setback, it's 4 feet here. Secondly, to respond to the noise, as Ms. Khan mentioned, city staff would ensure compliance with the noise ordinance. That doesn't mean that the AC units couldn't be further enhanced to reduce noise at the applicant's decision. That would not affect the use permit. Once again, the AC units really aren't part of the use permit. They're shown on the plan for reference here. They're not subject to the discretionary action this evening, where the strict compliance with the noise ordinance decibel limit would be adhered to during the building permit stage. And then lastly, the change to windows. I think staff understands the discussion this evening. If the commission was to approve the project without a condition regarding relocation of the window, if the window was to change, we would find that in substantial compliance with the approved plans. If that was the council's decision this evening not to include it as a condition, I think it's pretty clear to staff that that would be in conformance. It's moving a window from a side, or it could be potentially more impactful to a neighbor, to a rear that has a greater setback and less likely to have an impact.
Got it. And thank you for going through point by point. Well, I'll just share my inclination to approve the use permit as recommended by staff, while completely appreciating all that the applicant is offering to do in response to the neighbors. And I think it's wonderful, and to respond collaboratively to neighbors' concerns. So I'll just put that inclination out there. I'm sorry, Commissioner Riggs, you're.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
But thank you.
Commissioner Schindler.
I was simply going to ask Commissioner Riggs to, in light of the recent update from staff, just to clarify which modifications to the use permit you were referring to in your motion.
Certainly. The offers have included raising the fence to 7 feet to shield visually from the balcony, at least to the neighbor's first floor. To modify the fence in some way, and I'm not prescribing how, to improve its acoustic qualities, where it goes past the 3 AC units that are grouped together. Then the bath window being relocated. I believe those are the 4. Oh, and I'm sorry, sound bat within the notch that is created specifically for the AC units. And that's just because sound reflects. And putting sound bat on the walls of the notch is, I think, decidedly more practical than trying to add sound bat to the units, which will already have a sound enclosure that is the best that the manufacturers can do economically. I mean, I could make further recommendations. For example, there's a particular product type brand which is considerably quieter than other brands, but I don't want to be prescriptive.
Thank you for clarifying that. I got 4 specific changes.
Right.
The 7-foot fence, 2 things related to the air conditioning, which was the addition of more fencing and then the addition of batting. Is that correct?
Right.
And moving the second floor window currently located currently located on the side to moving it to the back. So those are the right 4. Okay.
And through the chair, if I could just add, as I noted, I appreciate the good intentions of the applicant. I'm just all too familiar with projects getting to the later stage, and either the contractor says, you know, that wasn't in my bid to put a second layer of boards on 10 feet of fence, or sound bat, I don't know how to do that. Can you go hire a consultant? Or I don't have time to modify the permit on the fence height. Would you do that? So it's sort of, it happens if it's prescribed, and it doesn't happen if it's not, just a little too often.
Commissioner Farrick.
Thank you. I have another thing I want to comment, but first I'll put a second on Commissioner Riggs' motion. And unless and until the commission isn't charged with making these decisions because they're substandard lots, I do think it's our duty to at least manage the balance between what's allowed and then the concerns of the neighborhood and the immediate neighbors in particular. I think many of us live on quote unquote substandard lots, and impacts are real. It also helps take away the potential for conflict between neighbors. Hopefully they'll be good friends by having it just there, that it's there, that they have to do it. It is what it is. And there's no further need for the neighbor to cross their fingers and hope that they don't need to go in and ask for them to do the things that they had offered at this stage. So I also, though, wanted to comment that I looked at the landscape plan, and it looks like there's also a good attempt by the applicant to screen privacy impacts with trees on the back and side lot areas. And there's immediate, on that side, I think that's in question, I may be wrong on which side I'm thinking of, there's a privet tree, and I was curious, I see it's preserved. Those can, depending on the size of them, provide pretty dense screening. So I was curious about the height of that, or how that, if that's even on the correct side, that's of the concern by the neighbors with respect to the balcony. So I don't know who might be able to answer that for me. Maybe it's the architect or designer.
So did you want to go pose that question to?
I guess, I mean, I'm
applicant?
curious, because I mean, I think we're all that's what we're here, is to try to make sure that this is an orderly, conforming development for the betterment of our community. And so that might be one of the already answered issues in this situation. Yeah.
That's probably a tree on the neighbor's side in their lot. So it looks like a pretty sizable tree, which definitely can provide a lot of screening. But apart from that, we are willing to propose another one or two plants on our side of the fence,
Okay.
in that area where the common balcony as well as the common area is. So I think that'll provide additional screening as well.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Farrick. So we have a first from Commissioner Riggs to approve the use permit with the additional conditions being the increase in fence height for screening, fence and sound, some sort of sound bat for the AC noise dampening, and the relocation of the bathroom so that the window is not on the side. Is that correct? Those are the four things. And a second from Commissioner Farrick. Commissioner Eric.
Am I allowed to talk before we vote?
Yes, I was just going to. Of course.
Okay, thank you. I have a question I just want to clarify with staff. The motion that's on the table, would that require the applicant to return to either staff or the Planning Commission an additional time to get revised plans approved?
Thank you for your question. Commissioner Eric, no, that would not require the applicant to come back to the Planning Commission with the conditions. If the commission wants to approve the project with conditions, staff will verify those conditions are being met during the building permit stage.
Thank you. Then I guess I'll just say, first, I want to commend everyone for working to be good neighbors. I think all sides are doing their part, and we should all appreciate that. I will say that given that, I'm inclined to support the motion, even though it does give me pause that this development as proposed is entirely within compliance of our city's zoning code. I believe that it is even in compliance with single-family zoning. So I think we have talked at this commission several times over the past weeks about the value of design standards and the fact that they can accelerate and streamline development. As I read the zoning code, and in particular setbacks regulations for setbacks, they are a sort of design standard that the city has put in place to balance the desire of development with the desire for privacy. So it does give me a little bit of pause that this development is in compliance with all of our zoning code and design standards, and yet we would impose additional regulations. That being said, I think it's good to be neighborly, and everyone here is being reasonable. So I wanted to put that notion on the record. But if the motion remains as stands, I will support it.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Eric. Commissioner Barnes.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to say thank you to Ms. Farrick for your elucidation of the role of the Planning Commission. And I wholeheartedly agree that it is a little bit of grease sometimes, a little bit of gum sometimes. It's an inexact science, a little bit of art, a little bit of science, a little bit of shopkeeping. And I think that's what we do well here. So unless and until the development standards, unless and until the role of planning commissions change, that's what we're charged with. So I'm a yes on this motion, and I'm looking forward to the vote. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And Commissioner Schindler.
Thank you, Vice Chair Doe. I have a brief question to Commissioner Riggs to potentially modify 2 of the 4 conditions that he was talking about in the spirit of something that I think is very important the Commission has talked about in the past, which is being not overly prescriptive and sort of looking at the intent of conditions. And I'm wondering if Commissioner Riggs would include a condition that said something more like that the applicant will look to exceed the standard of the decibel limits through whatever mechanisms, be they fence or bat or some other noise mitigation technique that turns out to be appropriate to the space, the environment, and the budget. So the intent is to do as much as possible to mitigate noise without being prescriptive on the mechanism.
Yes, it's interesting how many steps one wants to think ahead on how to make something happen. I was comfortable in naming the improvement to the fence and the sound bat and the alcove because I'm aware that if and staff can correct me if I'm wrong, if the applicant comes up with an alternative, that will be judged as compliance with the intent of the Planning Commission. And I would be fine with that. So, whereas if a year ago you had asked me, wouldn't you rather give a target? I probably would have said yes. And now I'm actually hesitant to do that because once we make up a target, it's as if we're saying, henceforth, we are not going to be satisfied with the city code.
Right.
And I'd rather avoid that. Complicated.
I think that's reflective of similar logic we had when we were talking about this in the context of the pool as well. So thank you for the response. I can support the recommendation or with the 4 conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner Schindler. And I will just say, it is very hard to be consistent when your fellow commissioners make such compelling arguments. So I will say that Commissioner Riggs, with your experience, saying it doesn't happen unless it's prescribed, and Commissioner Farrick saying, well, this is just, Commissioner Barnes, Commissioner Farrick saying this is our role. So I will just say before we vote that I will still vote no, just because I was inclined to approve the use permit as recommended without the conditions, but I am happy to know that the intent of the applicant, please don't think that I don't support your project, but anyway. So like I said, I appreciate everyone's comments, and it is really hard to sometimes make up your mind when everyone is so compelling. So with that, we'll go ahead and move to a vote if there's no further comments or questions. Commissioner Barnes.
Yes.
Commissioner Eric.
Yes.
Commissioner Farrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Riggs.
Yes.
Commissioner Schindler.
Yes.
I am a no, so that is 5 yeses, 1 no, 1 absent, and the motion passes. Congratulations and thank you.
Through the chair or acting chair, I see our city attorney's on. I didn't know if you wanted to find out why.
Certainly.
Through the chair, I can respond. I know our city attorney does attend the planning commission meetings, all the meetings, either in person or remotely. And I'm sure Ms. Slayman would have jumped in if something needed an update. So I think we're okay.
Okay. Thank you for noticing. All right, so we will close that item and move to F2. This is for a use permit, Thomas James Homes, 848 College Avenue. Consider and adopt a resolution to approve a use permit to demolish an existing single-story, single-family residence and construct a new 2-story, single-family residence with a basement on a substandard lot with regard to minimum lot width in the R1U, single-family urban residential zoning district. Determine this action is categorically exempt under CEQA guidelines section 15303's class 3 exemption for new construction or conversion of small structures. The proposal includes an attached accessory dwelling unit or ADU, which is a permitted use and not subject to discretionary review.
Good evening, Vice Chair Doe, Commissioners, General Public. I have Gagan Kang, who is representing the applicant. He does want to provide a short presentation about the project, and I'm also here to answer any questions that you should have. There's been no correspondence since the publication of the staff report.
Good evening, Planning Commission. This is my first presentation here in Menlo Park, so just learning the rules here. So my name is Gagan Kang. I'm a Senior Development Manager with Thomas James Homes. Thank you for the opportunity to briefly present 848 College on behalf of our homeowners, Emily and Yan. Next slide, please. So for site context, this is the immediate Allied Arts neighborhood on College Avenue. It consists of 1-story, 2-story, and 2-story renovated homes, and also 2-story new construction homes. Next slide, please. So a variety of materials are found in this neighborhood, including stucco, horizontal siding, board and batten, cedar, and shingles. There are also several different elevations in use, as you can see highlighted here, such as modern, transitional, Spanish, craftsman, farmhouse, and evolving transitional style homes. There's a mix of 1- and 2-car garages, though predominantly on College Avenue, you do see 2-car garages that are front-facing. Next slide, please. So our proposed home's construction is designed to be visually pleasant while still conforming to the surrounding Allied Arts neighborhood. This consists of roof forms such as the low-pitch gable and hip elements. The proposed color palette is a very light off-white for the exterior horizontal lap siding, eaves, gutters, fascia boards, window trim, and garage door. In addition, there are fixed glass encasement windows with minimalistic black thin frames and a darker colored standing seam roof for some contrast. The step back and centering of the second story on all 4 sides offers a bit of a scaled back appearance to minimize any massing you would see on each of those sides. The new home will feature 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, an attached 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom ADU, and a basement. A front-facing 2-car garage with 2 off-street parking spots as well. Given the eclectic style of the surrounding neighborhood, as presented with those 6 homes earlier, we believe our proposed home should fit well within the neighborhood. As far as the landscape, there are 9 total trees that were inventoried. 6 of those trees are on-site, 3 are off-site that are encroaching onto the property. We have obtained a tree removal permit for 3 of those trees. In return, we are planting 9 new trees, and that'll be 5 24-inch box trees and 4 36-inch box trees. We are also proposing a 7-foot fence with no lattice. Next slide, please. On this slide, you can see the first floor plan on the left side and the second floor plan. So on the first floor plan, you have the ADU at the front, the garage on the right, then you have a half bath, and right behind that there are the stairs to go downstairs to the basement. We have a great room, a kitchen, and a dining area. And then upstairs at the front, you have what we would consider kids' bedrooms for the family, the front left and the front right. Then you have a small loft area where the children can watch TV. And then in the rear, you have the primary bedroom on the left and the primary bedroom on the right side. Next slide, please. Here we show the basement. Next slide, please. These are the elevations. At the top left, we have the front elevation. Below that, the rear elevation. At the right elevation and the left elevation. Next slide, please. So for neighbor outreach, we sent notices to neighbors within the 300-foot radius, and that was approximately 60 neighbors in total. We did not get any bounce backs, and that was June of this year. And then after that, we did hold a meeting via Zoom to collect any neighbor feedback while we were getting ready to submit our project to the planning department. We did receive 1 phone call, and we answered some questions, though they did not tell us what their address was. We also received 2 letters of support, which we presented to our planner, Connor. Next slide, please. So thank you for allowing us to briefly present the project this evening. We have Andy Cost from TJH on the Zoom, and also our architect, Jamie from Dahlin, to help answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any clarifying questions for the applicant or staff for public comment? No? Okay. I'll turn to our clerk, Mr. Turner, to open public comment for this item.
Thank you, Vice Chair Doe. So once again, if you would like to give public comment, please click the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen or hand me a comment card. At the moment, we don't have any hands raised, and I do not have any comment cards.
Okay, let's give it a few moments.
Still none.
Okay, let's close public comment then and bring it back to the commission for discussion and questions. Commissioner Riggs.
Thank you. I did want to clarify one thing. Maybe I had misread in the staff report, but I thought there was a reference to upcoming neighbor meetings. But what I just heard from TJ Holmes is that that interplay took place in June. Could I just get some clarity on that? That would be to staff, if I may.
Certainly.
Give me just 1 second. Let me pull that up. Just to clarify, so I don't think that they updated their project description letter from when they originally submitted. So it's referring to a meeting that's already happened.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Riggs. Any other commission? Nope.
We actually did submit an updated revised letter, but that could have been a typo. So there are no upcoming meetings, but that could have been a typo on our behalf. So we didn't exclude the word.
You did, I'm sorry, you did exclude?
No, so going into planning second round, we did update our project description letter. But maybe we did not exclude the word upcoming from our meetings.
Oh, I see. All right, thank you.
Commissioner Eric.
I would like to move that we approve the use permit as recommended by staff.
Thank you. First from Commissioner Eric. Any further discussion or a second? Commissioner Schindler?
I'm happy to offer a second.
Great. Well, looks like everyone can.
Oh, can I just comment before we vote?
Of course, of course.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment that, one of the reasons I think this one is going to be pretty smooth and easy is the way that it's designed to be. It seems like intentionally respectful of the immediate neighbors that are fairly close, and appreciate that the project was brought into conformance, in other ways. While it is a large house with the basement, it all is respectful of the neighborhood. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Farrick. Commissioner Barnes.
Thank you. And I want to thank the applicant for the clear presentation of the project, the details associated with it. It makes it easy to review. Thank you for that.
Great. So first from Commissioner Eric and a second from Commissioner Schindler, and we'll go ahead and move to a vote then. Commissioner Barnes.
Yes.
Commissioner Eric.
Yes.
Commissioner Farrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Riggs.
Yes.
Commissioner Schindler.
Yes.
I am also a yes, so that is 6 yeses, 1 absent, and the motion passes. So thank you. Right, so we will close that item and move to the next F3. That is a use permit, Chris Kummerer, 725 Hobart Street. Consider and adopt a resolution to approve a use permit to demolish an existing 2-story single-family residence with a detached garage and construct a new 2-story single-family residence on a substandard lot with regard to minimum lot width in the R1S single-family suburban zoning district. Determine this action is categorically exempt under CEQA guidelines section 15303's class 3 exemption for new construction or conversion of small structures. The proposal also includes an attached accessory dwelling unit, ADU, which is a permitted use and not subject to discretionary review. Mr. Hochleitner, are there any updates on this one?
There have been no correspondence in the publication of the staff report, and we have Chris Kummerer is the applicant. He's here. I think he wants to say a couple of words. We also have the property owners as well.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Doe and Commissioners. I'm happy to be here tonight with Nick and Kristen Teleshak, the homeowners. I'd like to thank Connor for his hard work on our project over the last couple months. This project is designed to fit in within 2 existing heritage trees. So that was one of the challenges, is there's a tree at the front and a tree at the rear. And so we are happy that we were able to kind of hopefully fit the house in a nice way. Also happy to have some neighbor support in the packet. Our clients did a nice job talking with their immediate neighbors and friends. We made some concessions with some window heights and keeping some existing screening trees as a result of those discussions. So I hope that the house fits nicely in the neighborhood. It's mostly a neighborhood of 2-story homes. And we tried to consider the aesthetics as well as the layout of the home carefully. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Clarifying questions, Commissioner Riggs.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Kummerer, welcome. Just to clarify, because you mentioned amending window heights and keeping the property line trees, was that for neighbors on both left and right?
If memory serves me correct, it was predominantly the neighbor on the left. And so there's a grouping of trees, particularly that neighbor was concerned about at the front left.
I'll admit I was looking at 5 projects in one day, but I have a note here to ask about the right side, second floor side windows. And that may be something you found actually wasn't a challenge. There, as I recall, it's a fair amount of growth, but I don't remember how it's concentrated next to the proposed new building.
Let's see, the right side second floor windows, I believe, are high windows. Are those the ones? Let's see. Oh, these ones. I don't recollect the height of those trees. Would you like me to look at a street view here?
Oh, yeah, I can't see it on Google Street View, but I guess I could just as well ask, what is it that made you comfortable with the right side windows?
My recollection is there is mature screening, and I don't believe there's a lot of windows on. I don't believe there are a lot of windows on the neighbor side. So if you can see, we can see in the street view that neighbor side is devoid of windows for the first 20 feet. And so that makes, and there is some existing screening. Let's see. Yeah, they do have a window. And again, I'm making an estimate here, but they have a window beyond that first 20 feet, and it looks like a rather small window. So the privacy conflicts seem minimal.
All right, thank you.
Just to clarify through the chair, on the neighbor's property, there are mature trees that are on the neighbor's property that do screen a number of the windows on their property. So there is already screening there.
May I say, I appreciate that, because when a commissioner goes by, we're generally hesitant to go onto the property in question, let alone the neighbors. And so you can only see so deep. So I appreciate your added knowledge. Thank you.
Any other clarifying questions before? I don't think we've taken public comment yet, right? No, okay.
I do have one.
Okay, Commissioner Farrig.
Thanks. Hi, perfect. You're my question, who I want to ask the question to. So I see that the left side setback is able to be 4 feet because it's an ADU, and that's then standard for the ADU. What I'm trying to find, and I'm sure it's in here, but if I can just quickly ask you, the design of the house, it looks like the second story would not have that setback, right? It goes in because that's not the ADU space. Just verifying.
That's correct. The second floor would meet it's well in fact. Let's see here. So that's at 12 feet.
Great. Yeah, I think I see. It's just, there's, you did a lot of drawing. There's lots of pages here. Trying to discern where it's set back. I think it's on.
No problem. So on the site plan, it's
site
12 feet.
8. I think I see it. I was just trying to find it before we got to our conclusions here. Thank you.
All right, if there's no further clarifying questions, Mr. Turner, let's open up public comment for this item.
Thanks, Vice Chair Doe. Once again, if you would like to give public comment, please click the raise hand button on your screen or hand me a comment card. At the moment, I do not have any hands raised and no comment cards.
Okay, we'll give it a moment. Hopefully people had time to consider if they wanted to make public comment during that questioning phase. How about now?
No hands raised
Okay.
and no cards.
Okay, great, thank you. So we'll close public comment and bring it back to the commission for discussion, questions. Commissioner Farrig.
Thank you. I having reviewed this site and really appreciate your neighbor outreach, and I can see you're really close to a lot of your neighbors. I think it looks really nice too, just not that that's what we're deciding upon, but I like the design. So I'd just like to make a motion to approve it per the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioner Farrig. And I wanted to appreciate the attention to the heritage trees, Mr. Coomer, that you mentioned the mature heritage trees on the site. And also the staff report, I appreciated reading about the back and forth that there was to retain a tree that was first thought to be in poor health and then development, but in the end, it was ultimately also saved. So appreciate that bit of background and care for the trees on the site. Any other discussion or questions or a second to? Commissioner Riggs.
Oh, yes, question, if I may ask the applicant.
Of course.
It looked as though on 3 of the elevations, it appeared that there is some masonry finish on the upper floor. Is that correct?
Correct. A way to just kind of bring some interest, a little bit of masonry up there. It's very small amounts in the little, I would call them feature areas. So there are little notches on the side and on front.
So I didn't have a 3D view. My inclination, of course, is to say I wouldn't particularly want to see masonry on the second floor and a lesser material on the lower floor. But it looked as though the surfaces, and I guess it's 2 adjacent surfaces, I hope it is, are set back. Were you thinking that then that implies that there is a masonry building with a stucco addition around it?
You can see these pretty clearly on the cover sheet. There should be 2 renderings, and those areas were just, again, thought of as sort of feature areas and trying to keep it a little more interesting than just white on white. And so the goal was to find a material that would bring interesting emphasis. And so it's used mostly on the first floor and just, again, sort of a smattering of it on the second floor. But I didn't think of it in terms of like the history of what could have happened or whatnot. I don't know if I'm answering your question.
It does, but I think in a way my question answers my own concern, which is that it's not in the same plane as the wood siding below it. So I don't think this is something to make an architectural issue out of.
In each case, it's recessed in. That's the goal in the design.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Riggs. And Commissioner Schindler.
We are still waiting for a second, correct?
I believe
Okay,
so.
I also would like to share my appreciation for the retention of the trees and the attention to detail in making the design work around those trees, and I'd like to offer a second.
Thank you. So we have a first from Commissioner Farrick and a second from Commissioner Schindler to approve the use permit as recommended by staff. And if there's no further discussion, let's go ahead and vote on the motion. Commissioner Barnes?
Yes.
Commissioner Eric?
Yes.
Commissioner Farrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Riggs?
Yes.
Commissioner Schindler?
Yes.
I am also a yes. That is 6 yeses, 1 absent, and the motion passes. Congratulations and thank you. All right, we have one more item under the public hearing. Use permit, Harmony Low. Again, apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name. 1664 Oak Avenue. Consider and adopt a resolution to approve a use permit to construct first and second floor additions that would exceed 50% of the existing floor area to a single-story, single-family residence on a substandard lot with regard to minimum lot width in the R1S Single Family Suburban Residential Zoning District. Determine this action is categorically exempt under CEQA Guidelines Section 15303's Class 3 exemption for new construction or conversion of small structures. The proposal also includes the addition of an internal accessory dwelling unit, ADU, within the existing structure, which is a permitted use and is not subject to discretionary review.
Good evening again. I have not received any correspondence since the publication of the staff report, and I have Jackie Terrell is here representing the applicant, if you have any questions for her.
Through the chair, before we move further, I believe we have a commissioner that will need to recuse themselves from this item as well as the next item. So we didn't connect earlier, but if that commissioner would like to leave after recusing from both, they're
Yes.
welcome to.
Shall I depart before the presentation or after the presentation?
I would depart as we're opening the item at this moment.
Okay, great. As Mr. Prada said, I am recusing myself on the basis of being within 300, my primary residence being within 300 feet of this project. And for the final item, recusing myself on the basis of a personal relationship with the applicant. Ciao. I'll come back when we're done.
And through the chair, we certainly can continue with 5 commissioners. And so if Commissioner Schindler would like to go home for the evening, she's more than welcome to.
That seems like a good idea. Commissioner,
Question. This is an HVAC question. Through the chair to staff, to me at least, it feels extraordinarily hot in here. Is there a way to de-roast
Yeah,
us?
no, thanks. Mr. Turner is going to take a look at that. Thanks, Commissioner Barnes.
Thank you so much.
I thought you were going to ask about the sound levels. Thank you for your patience.
Through the chair, if we could just 1 second before Mr. Turner is back and can turn the mic on for you. Sorry. For those that may be participating remotely.
Okay, hi, I'm Jackie Terrell. I'm with Young and Burlick Architects. I'm here on behalf of my client, the Benders, Michael and Claire. We are doing a second floor addition to a single family residence, single story ranch style home. We're now kind of moving towards more of a transitional home. We do have an internal ADU that we've been converting and part of one of the wings. Most of everything in here is actually compliant. So we have the side setbacks that actually work existing. The only exception would be the eave condition into the daylight plane, which we are hoping to keep at the garage side, which is on the right side. Most of the development is actually towards the center of the home, and it's a major first floor renovation and minor addition to the first floor, but most of it's to the second. Would love to hear any questions that you might have for me.
Great, thank you. Any clarifying questions? Commissioner Fair.
Just to be clear, that eave, it would just be that first floor garage eave. It's not second story.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Perry. Any other clarifying questions? Thanks. We'll go ahead and move to public comment then. Mr. Turner?
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair Doe. If you would like to give public comment, please click the raise hand button or send a comment card up to me. At the moment, we do not have any comment cards or hands raised. If we want to give it a moment.
Sure. And how about now?
No hands raised and no comment cards.
Okay, let's close public comment and bring it back to the commission for any Discussion, questions, and ultimately a motion. Commissioner Riggs.
Thank you. I do have a couple of questions for the applicant. One is just to confirm what I think I'm seeing. On the street elevation, it looked like the home was fairly tall, so I looked at the front elevation, and I see you have ceiling heights of 9 feet and 10 feet. So it is clearly a tall space. I saw, I think, 8-foot window heads.
Yes, I do believe we have 8 feet header heights, if I'm not, let me double check myself right here. That's correct, 8 feet.
It does present itself as certainly a tall house. I also wanted to ask, similar to a question on a previous project, am I seeing, well, on A3.1, 3.2, and 3.4, there appears to be a stone gable on the upper level of a wood frame building. I take it that was intended to just be a material variation?
That's correct.
I will preface my comment with you don't have to do what I suggest, but for those that have an architectural background, putting stone on the second floor of a building that is not a stone building is one of those kind of awkward things to look at and to see. Would there be another material or texture or pattern that would provide an accent without it having to be stone?
I mean, honestly, I think I would go more towards turning it to stucco and allowing the stone feature to be the staircase coming through at that point. I don't know if I'd want to mix in another material besides just the two. So that's probably where I would go with that.
Yeah, no, understood. Typically, one tries to keep, it's appreciated when you keep things simple. Well, I'm going to leave that only as something to think about. Although I might ask that if we approve the project tonight, that we include that option so that you don't have to come back here should you make that decision.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Riggs. Commissioner Barnes?
I'm sorry, I left my light on.
Well, I will just add a comment that it does seem that the second story is centrally located. It's kind of and works with that existing 45-degree angle. So I don't have any issues or concerns. Does anyone have any comments or would like to move to make a motion? Please feel free to do so.
I will do so. I'll make a motion to approve the project per the staff report.
Thank you. A first from Commissioner Barnes. Commissioner Riggs?
Yeah, I'd like to make a second. I mean, it's obviously a nicely considered project. If the maker would accept it, I would like to include in the approval the option for the applicant to modify the finishes on the second story gable to simplify them if they so choose, without having to come back to planning for review?
Sure. So my fundamental point of view is this is, a stone facade on the second floor is more of an aesthetic choice, and I leave aesthetics to the applicant. So I have zero inclination to have that be prescriptive in terms of what they need to do. But your wording is as such if they choose to do it. So I will accept that and letting the applicant know that I have zero, as the maker of the motion, I have zero preference on what you do, because that is an entirely personal aesthetic choice, in my opinion, unlike some of the other decisions we had, which were related to the enjoyment of the neighboring property by a neighbor. So sure, I'm happy to I will add that with a caveat that there is zero expectation that would happen. So I will accept that.
Thank you.
And thank you, Commissioner Barnes and Riggs for clarifying that this is an option, not binding to make that choice. So I appreciate that detailed explanation of that intent. And if there's no further comments down there, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. Commissioner Barnes?
Yes.
Commissioner Eric?
Yes.
Commissioner Farrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Riggs?
Yes.
I am also a yes. That's 5 yeses, 1 absent, and 1 recused. And the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Right, so I think that was our last item under the public hearing. So we can close the item F, the public hearing portion of the agenda, and move to G, regular business. G1, determination of substantial conformance for 1065 Trinity Drive. Review of staff determination that changes to the exterior window, front door, and garage door style and materials are in substantial conformance with the previous approvals. Review requested by Commissioner Riggs. And for that,
That is me over here. I'm doing double duty tonight, so bear with me as I work cameras and microphones and whatnot.
The wizard.
Yes, so tonight, just to give an overview, it has been a while since we have had a substantial conformance review pulled. So just to go over the background and the options tonight. So this was a use permit that was approved by the Planning Commission. And as part of the conditions of approval, standard conditions of approval, there's a condition that states that the building permits have to be in substantial conformance with the approved plans. In this case, there have been some modifications to the exterior that staff has found to be in substantial conformance with the approved plans, but warranted a notification to the Planning Commission, which was pulled by Commissioner Riggs. So tonight is not a public hearing. There is no real action on a use permit today. The Planning Commission would just find whether or not staff's determination of substantial conformance is correct in their opinion. So there are a couple options tonight. If the Planning Commission does find that the plans are in substantial conformance, that is the action we make, and then the applicant is free to move forward with their building permit application as submitted. If the Planning Commission decides that the modifications are not in substantial conformance with the approved use permit plans, the applicant would either need to revise their building permit plans to bring them into substantial conformance, or would have to apply for a use permit revision to make the requested changes. And with that, we do have the applicant here, and I am open for any questions as well.
Good evening. Chris Pandolfo, applicant, general contractor, and homeowner. Happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Great, thanks. So we don't need to divide clarifying questions and then public comment. It's not a public hearing. There is no public comment, right? Because is that correct?
There's no required public comment. I think I've been pretty consistent from a staff perspective that for all items, public comment's beneficial. So would recommend that the commission open the item for public comment in case there are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's kind of follow a similar format then. Any clarifying questions for Mr. Pandolfo? Did I get your name right? Or for Mr. Turner before we give the public a chance to comment? No. Mr. Turner, if we could then go ahead and take public comment.
Yes, so once again, if you would like to give public comment on this item, please click the raise hand button on your screen or hand me a comment card, although it does not look like we have additional participants in person, and we do not have any hands raised at the moment.
I think we can go ahead and, if there's none.
None.
Okay, close public comment and bring it back to the commission. And just to clarify again, there will be no vote, no action. Is that correct, Mr. Turner? Is that what you were saying?
There would be a vote to vote on the determination of substantial conformance. There wouldn't be an additional vote on, say, like the use permit action of the approved.
Okay, so there is a vote. Okay, thank you.
And through the chair, not to contradict Mr. Turner, but the commission could decline to take a vote this evening, and then the staff determination of substantial conformance would stand. So technically a vote is recommended, but certainly if the commission, if we had an even number of commissioners, which we don't, 3-3 vote would be a failed motion, and the commission could let that stand. So just by way of clarification.
Okay, great. Thank you. Could I ask a question? Of course. Commissioner Farrick.
Am I able to ask our fellow commissioner who pulled it to comment on why he pulled it?
Of course, I think that makes plenty of sense. But at first, I would have a question for the applicant. I understand that this is a residence and that the windows and doors are being upgraded, right?
Yes, sir.
So I'm not sure when this building was designed, perhaps 1960, I don't know, but it's evident, like actually some buildings right here in this community center, including our recreation buildings, the windows underneath the gable ends match the slope of the gable ends. And it appears that this proposed alternative comes with a different slope. Could you give us an idea why the windows wouldn't match the slope of the eaves, or the rakes, to be more accurate?
The shape of the windows was based off of what was manufacturable and could fit with the structural engineering requirements and the trusses that are planned. It would have, if there were other options, it would have been nicer if those had aligned.
When you say there are trusses planned, maybe I misunderstood. Is this new construction, or is this revision to an existing building?
There are some portions that need to be redone, but most of it is existing.
Most of it's existing.
Yes, sir.
All right, so the framing that exists could continue to exist?
Some of it could.
And there's a problem with the framing at the gable ends?
I'm not an expert, but what the structural engineer and the designer were talking about were options to make it all work. And they presented us with a series of different options, and this one appeared to be the most attractive one to us.
So the reason I press is that as an architect and also as a building project manager, I've done more than one gable end with matching window slope window heads. And we did on one occasion have to give $7,000 to a steel fabricator to make a steel truss to go over the gable end. But I have to say there was a lot less room available, and it didn't already have existing framing. Without your structural engineer and architect present, perhaps I should ask Mr. Turner, were you able to discuss this modification and the logic behind it with the structural engineer and the architect? And the specific reasons why the original window design would no longer work?
I did have a few conversations about the design of the windows is more with respect to the grid patterns, to be honest. I did not have a conversation with structural engineer about whether or not windows with the same slope can be accommodated.
So it makes it very difficult for me to accept this. To be honest, I would find it very difficult. If this were a new project coming before me tonight, I would say, I don't get it. Why don't the windows match? Was there a discount on low slope windows? I'll admit that it's disappointing that the mullions are not there. But given that this is a private residence, and I'm not the person who lives downhill, I'm not going to make a comment on mullions or no mullions, but having the window slope match the roof slope is a real basic in design. Would have to have a pretty drastic reason for it to simply not be possible. I mean, this is just a departure from pretty much basic aesthetics, that it's a lot to ask of the city to approve this. And knowing that people downhill might have been expecting one thing and will wake up one morning and say, what the heck happened to that building that's up the hill? So as much as I hesitate to second guess a design, I don't have an architect or a structural engineer here to give me the logic behind it. And to be honest, it would have to be awfully persuasive logic to downgrade this design this significantly.
If I may, sir?
That's why I asked it to come here to explain.
Yep, if I may, sir. I don't doubt that there is a very expensive option in steel that could probably solve this problem. Perhaps it wasn't suggested because we've already exceeded the budget considerably in the 7+ years it's taken us to get here. And for what it's worth, there are no neighbors who can see the rear of our house. And the only neighbor behind us is the Sharon Heights Golf Club.
So one cannot see this rear facade from any other property?
Not from anywhere nearby. It's a, you can see the par 3 behind our house, and then there are the condominiums in the middle of Sharon Heights that are, I would guess, 500 yards away maybe.
All right, and so you're part of their view, but not of an immediately adjacent home?
I don't understand that comment, but we're on Trinity, backing to the Sharon Heights area there.
All right, so the hole number 3 and the condominiums have a view of this facade, but no adjacent homes, is what you're saying?
Correct. There's a flag lot to our left, and then the rear of our property is on the golf course. And I'm not sure which hole that is that's underneath it, but it's a considerable ways. First, there's all the trees in our backyard, and then there's probably 500 yards, 400 yards or something till you get to the trees on the other side, and then the apartments behind that.
I'm a little bit at a loss because, I have no way to judge that. And to be honest, we weren't offered a way to judge that in order to come here tonight and make that decision. Maybe I should direct this to staff. Is there a way that we can verify that this facade of the building is not viewable within 500 yards in Menlo Park?
I guess the best way I can answer that is there is usually an area plan included in the plan set of the use permit package. So there is likely a dimension to adjacent properties in the link of the memo that we linked to the original staff report. The original plan should be in there.
Well, Sharon Heights is not quite that wide open, particularly if there are views from the golf course. But the applicant just now has made a very good argument that the adjacent trees and the slope simply block the view of the upper story.
Anecdotally, looking at a Google Maps aerial view, he is correct. There is nothing but the golf course behind his property, and there is quite substantial vegetation, a lot of tall redwood trees, a large shrub, so it would be pretty well screened.
All right, and this is something you reviewed when you were talking about the mullions?
Yes, that was more of a comprehensive change, but other changes to the rear of the property, to the rear of the house, is something we discussed. The low visibility of it.
All right, thank you. So in answer to my fellow commissioner, I guess given the information that the view of what looks like a prominent facade is simply not available within our city limits, I think I've received the explanation that that justifies this change. So to the applicant, thank you for coming, and thank you for explaining what I have to say are pretty unusual conditions. And I do appreciate that financial pressures can be very strong. So thank you.
Thank you for your input.
Can I just make one comment? And I can appreciate the long process that you just that has been a long process for you and expense. So if I can just take 2 minutes to add something that can be disregarded, hopefully. I usually hesitate to, I think, make impositions when it's an aesthetic, but I am compelled by Commissioner Riggs' observation by the difference in the angle. And so I will just throw out an idea of, if you can't match that angle, could you, and this may be too monotonous, make all the windows rectangles and not, if you can't match that angle because it's prohibitively expensive, just make it a rectangle and echo that angle in the surface treatment or some other way that is not the window, that would not cause structural or cost issues. I'll just throw that out there, but again, that's just an idea, but I mean, I'm still supportive of staff's conclusion overall, but just want to throw that idea out that.
Thank you. I'm happy to, I will look into it again. There's an interior roof slope that matches those windows with the trusses in between. And so it was trying to figure out how to make both things work. And the steel was something that was brought up and it didn't go very far. So
Thank you.
I see no need for a vote since the determination can stand without our input.
Is that, and that's, okay, right. So thank you for your time and good luck with the continued process. So I believe that is our last item, so we can close item G and move to H, informational items. Mr. Parada.
Yes, thank you. So upcoming, there are 2 meetings in December, so we'll have a little bit of a break with the Thanksgiving holiday. So the next meeting will be December 4th, and then following that, we do have a second meeting in December on December 18th. We are still tracking a number of items, so we don't have a public notice yet for either of those, but just to give some context, we're looking at a couple single-family use permits. There is the possibility that on one of those December meetings, potentially the first one, we could have the EIR, Environmental Impact Report, scoping session and study session for a housing development project at 3705 Haven Avenue. That is a 99-unit multifamily housing development that we're in the early stages of the environmental analysis for. So that's something that the commission should be expecting in December on either meeting. And that concludes my reports and announcements. Oh, one more thing, I apologize. We will be bringing the 2024 Planning Commission calendar for a review and vote by the commission in December, currently targeting that for December 4th. So just wanted to make that note that we'll be looking at the upcoming dates for next year at that meeting.
Thank you. Questions? No? Commissioner Ferry.
Thank you. And this is actually for you, Kyle. In case you might not have watched the video at the end of the housing element meeting that we held just 1 week ago, I had resurfaced a couple business items to just kind of remind to bring up, since this is the time that we usually do that. That was the request to see if City Council would support us reviewing what our scope should be, if we should be still reviewing single-family homes. And then the idea that Commissioner Barnes brought up about whether we'd want to move the time of the start time of the meeting.
Yeah, thank you. Without getting too into a discussion, we are looking at the start time and whether or not, as part of the calendar, the commission could consider a change to its start time as part of that, but need to do a little bit more research regarding published agendas, a published start time, and the commission's kind of operating procedures. So just we are looking into that.
Great. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.